Valerian, actually.
Aquaman or The Flash?
I've not seen. I'm not concentrating. I'm not seen. Start again. I'm not stop.
Quick.
Stop. I'm not seen.
Unbelievable.
I'm not.
Just say The Flash.
Yeah, The Flash. Because I've not seen
Jesus
Aquaman.
Christ.
I'm the Doctor. I've travelled through time and space. Tennant's very breathy.
Donna!
Yeah.
Quite. It's like...
Do you remember when Tennant would get really serious as the Doctor? And he'd be like, that is what I think. That is what I do.
Yeah.
I over-enunciate every single word.
Like a really annoyed English teacher when you had to do any coursework.
Yes.
Like
Donna Noble.
Yeah. Like, we loved him, but, like, you know, he commanded respect.
And then like a teacher that you give a gift to at the end of the year, you get really emotional.
Yeah.
Roast time.
Oh, I can't... Give me that, yeah.
I can't believe it. So you go to the major crescendo.
Of course. Like the Eureka moment.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Doctor, you've been travelling through time and space.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Matt Smith would have been a bit more, whoa, over Rory.
Cracks in the wall, space and time.
No, he would do the whispery, fumbly bit.
Yeah, he'd sort of into himself.
Into the self-fumbling with the thing. And then I never watched after that. No, but I think Jodie Whittaker was more like, guys, time and space. Whoa.
Yeah. That's why we didn't watch it. It sounds like a Savides thing.
Yeah, back we go.
No.
We haven't watched Doctor Who yet.
No.
If anyone's listening, the recap, but we probably will, because I also was just realising, like, obviously there's a lot of joy in it. It's been marketed very well, but I do realise it is a huge hard reset.
And they've got David Tennant back again from the 50th. Everyone
back to... They've literally rewound to 2008.
You said the other day you think it's an attempt to sort of bring it back just a bit. Yeah,
I mean, thank you. Yeah, but I had forgotten I mentioned it the other day. So well done for just coming in before I repeat my whole thing. But yeah, it's more on the radio when they're like, Donna Noble had to wipe her memory, and if she remembers, she will die. And I'm like, Christ, 15 years ago, we're going straight back to that, are we? Anyway, we haven't seen it, so we won't talk about it anymore.
I will watch it, and I do want to watch it. I have told you I'm in a very slow rewatch of. I'm currently in season 2, and it's going to sort of interfere with my own timeline, no pun intended.
Oh,
to be
yes.
honest. Like, I'm sort of very much enjoying. I've really not touched it since I watched it when it came out, and now I'm rediscovering it and very much enjoying it. And now I'm going to go back to the future, again, no pun intended, film podcast, to go to this bit. So if it's really good, if you guys tell me it's really good, please write into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. I'll be like, okay, I'll watch it.
Not to be shallow about people's appearance, but I look at David Tennant, who I think is 50, I want to say.
Oh, he's doing well. He's doing well.
I think he looks like he runs.
Yes.
Eats his greens.
He's
very lean.
Slender, sleek.
You know,
Pilates
taut.
even.
Yes.
Yeah.
He looks, particularly when he would do something like Staged, which was that lockdown comedy thing you do with Martin Sheen.
Looks like he runs.
He does. He looks like he runs.
He's
got a kind of like marathon runner, kind of lean, you know.
Large black coffee for breakfast.
Fava beans and broccoli. Yeah, exactly. Black, obviously, with coffee.
No dairy.
No dairy, no.
Clings
no
to
dairy,
the jowls.
No. I'm an actor, damn it.
Yeah. Him and Michael Sheen just like cross-legged on the stage, just chatting through the script. Like,
well, Michael Sheen's got a different vibe. He's very shaggy now.
Yeah,
like his beard, and he's sort of kind of more wholesome.
I like them together. They're good fun.
Never saw Good Omens though.
I watched an episode with Tanya because we thought Michael Sheen, David
Evans.
And we were like, we just didn't get it. You know when you hear words from actors' mouths, but it just doesn't come through.
Yeah, it just bounces
like,
straight.
I hear it. I speak English. I understand English, but for some reason I just don't understand the concept.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
I think if I didn't know I watch a lot of things, I would think I was stupid. I just didn't get it. But I was like, no, I do get things. I just didn't get this one, and that's okay.
Welcome to episode 104 of PULP Kitchen, where James is wearing a new knit.
Yeah, it is a new knit.
It's giving. It looks like the maze in Saltburn.
I was saying it's giving Loki vibes. This is what.
It's all the timelines.
Yeah, Whoa. TVA employee 7 on the Christmas party could wear this.
Yeah, I suppose that. Yeah, I guess. This kind of scheme. I see the heavily inspired by The Shining maze in Saltburn.
Yeah, of course. Yes, yeah.
I was like, oh, here's the Shining maze. And sure enough, Emerald Fennell in an interview with Letterboxd was like, The Shining, I love The Shining. She does sound like Richard E. Grant. She does. That's a bit too much for like Richard E. Grant. But she's like, oh God, I love Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Letterboxd.
We're going to be talking about Saltburn later.
Saltburn.
Hey,
Saltburn.
Saltburn. My favourite was, which we'll get on to, but when Jacob Elordi accepts the bike. Oh, mate, are you fucking serious?
Yeah,
mate, that's so fucking cool of you.
Yeah.
Oh, God, mate, are you serious?
Oh my God.
Loved it. But not a terrible British accent.
It was perfectly fine.
It's aware of
we
it.
forget that he's actually Australian.
Yes.
I always think that the switch from Australian to English is much easier than American to.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, mate. God.
Oh, God, mate. Yeah.
That's just like terrible. Yeah. And he was. Oh, yeah. I didn't hear. We're not doing the Saltburn review now.
No,
we'll do
we'll
it
get onto it.
in a later this episode. But
We're going to be talking about Saltburn, and George, you've also seen May, December.
CC I have, which is available, I think, in most parts of the world on Netflix, but in the UK is a Sky release.
Yeah.
You know how that happens sometimes? Like everywhere I Google it, it's like Netflix, but in the UK it's like Sky Original. Sky News. Sky News. we can't stop.
No, we can't stop doing that. I know that post-COVID, the streaming services, the studios are experimenting with this, like, it's a streaming film, but it's also going to be released.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, great, it's out. Sort of.
Yes.
You can see there are two, like, at any popular cinema chain, multiplex, there's like 2 screenings. There's a 10:48 on a Tuesday, or there's a Sunday at 9 p.m. And it's like, yeah, it's out. I'm like, okay, well.
But you won't see it.
I'm not going to see that.
So May, December and Saltburn are very different films, but I would actually like to talk at some point in this episode about how they sit side by side, because there is actually like a similarity. And I saw them one night after the other, and I'm really glad I did, because I came out, I was like, those things actually overlap in this area. And they kind of help review the other film.
Oh, nice.
But we will start with May, December.
Talk about the bonus this week. I went to a lovely little film night and watched Peter Jackson's Bad Taste from the 1980s. So I'll be giving some thoughts on that. I also caught Bottoms.
Yes,
you can check George's original review from a couple of weeks ago, but I've now seen Bottoms.
And we've both seen the first 4 episodes of part 1 of season 6 of The Crown. Very much a hot topic in the press, much discussed.
Part 2 coming in hot.
Part 2 coming in December.
Premiere coming soon.
Yeah, we've seen part 1, and we will be discussing that. That is the bonus this week.
That's
so
bonus.
Crown, Bottoms, Bad Taste.
Love it.
So May, December, which we first mentioned when we were talking about the films that were going to be coming up in the London Film Festival. There's an episode we did in like August or September. But for those who...
Wasn't May.
Wasn't May, it wasn't December. For those who aren't aware of the film, it's a film starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. I don't know why. For some reason, my brain went Juliette Binoche, but it's not Juliette Binoche.
I thought you were going to be sick.
Let's do that again. May, December, a film starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, which is getting kind of a small release, but is important because not only does it have 2 great stars in it, it is directed by Todd Haynes, a filmmaker I particularly like. Todd Haynes has directed Carol, Dark Waters, Far From Heaven, a really interesting, good director, and there's a lot of good talk about this film coming out of the festival circuit, very actory, very good performances, and I was like, yes, Todd Haynes is back. And not only is he back, he is a sharp director who's kind of pivoted, because on the one hand you have something like Carol, which is huge and so beautiful and seeped in nostalgia and in the 50s, and you haven't seen it, have you?
No.
Yeah, good film to watch. Great, actually around this time. There's a significant portion of the film most of the film actually is set between Christmas and New Year.
Great.
In like the 50s in New York, and it's with the snow and the red hats and the carrying the old-fashioned gifts. It's beautiful.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, lovely.
But then Dark Waters, by contrast, was something that was kind of stripped of all of his style and was very much about the story that they were telling, which is a great film. Anyway, so May, December. Do you know, because it's not in the film, I had to look it up afterwards. Do you know what May, December means?
No.
It's in Urban Dictionary, or it's parlance. It's a colloquial phrase meaning 2 people who are in a relationship of different ages. So someone's in the springtime of their life and someone's in the winter.
Die.
We're not about to die. It's a really interesting film, this one. It's a drama, but it's got overtones of melodrama and thriller and investigation. So the story is this. Natalie Portman plays a successful, famous television actress called Elizabeth. And the film begins with her arriving in Savannah, Georgia, in beautiful height of the summer. It's very hot, lots of houses overlooking the delta. I've never been to Georgia, but I've seen it in the films. And she is there to spend a lot of time sort of shadowing, visiting, and looking at and accompanying Julianne Moore's character, Julianne Moore's character, Gracie. And Gracie is in her, I think, her late 50s, 60s now, lives at home with her husband, Joe, who is 36. There's quite an age gap there. And they have a set of twins and another child. And you begin with this kind of barbecue that's sort of honouring the fact that Elizabeth, Natalie Portman's character, is coming to visit. And Natalie Portman is going to play Gracie in a television series. Sorry, not in a television series. He's going to play Gracie in a film. So she's kind of coming as a kind of method actor to kind of study that. And you're aware as the film begins that it's clearly a film based on something that happened in Gracie's life several years before. And Natalie Portman's just like, I just believe in truth, I just want to get to the heart of it. And I just, she's like overly sincere, I just want to get to tell your story. And meanwhile, Gracie, which is Julianne Moore, she speaks with this very distinct lisp. Well, I am sort of naive, and it just makes this kind of quirky kind of super kind of naive person. Anyway. So the thing is, so you open the film. Let me do that again. So you open the film, you're wondering what is Natalie Portman there to see, and what is she investigating? And the thing is that you quickly learn that Gracie and Joe, when Gracie was 36, which is the age that both Natalie Portman and Joe is now, when Gracie was 36, she had a relationship with Joe when he was 13. And it was a tabloid scandal. And this is stuff, this is the essential premise of the film. You learn this in little bits and pieces, but by 20, 25 minutes in, you do know this is part of the story and is significant. So they had this tabloid scandal in the past, and the story is loosely based on some true stories that have happened in the States, but this is fictionalized here. Scandalous relationship in which that Gracie spent some time in jail. They have children now, and now Joe is the age that she was when their relationship began. But of course, Gracie was obviously taken to prison because of that's a crime to begin a relationship with a minor.
Anyway, where we stand on the issue.
So you have this kind of massively sort of tabloid, juicy story in the past. You have Natalie Portman coming into wanting to tell the truth, and meanwhile, Elizabeth Julianne Moore is there thinking, well, we want you to come in because we want to get our story out there. The right side, the people that didn't see beyond the tabloids.
It's more like a December, February, if you ask me.
And what's really interesting is this kind of play on the investigative story. So, we're used to films where it's a police procedural, and we're used to journalists tracking it down. In some recent years, we've had podcasters, being the kind of narrative spin. This is a nice little twist on that, with it being about an actor coming in and really studying people. And of course, the kind of the question the film presents is does this arrival of this other person, of Natalie Portman, shed fresh light on the story? Does she actually bring pressure herself onto this relationship? Is this relationship, however sort of scandalous as it was in the past, is it actually perfectly functional and fine? Is there some sort of ulterior predatory? Is there something predatory about Natalie Portman's presence, actually? What is she trying to gain from sort of leeching off of this story? And you have this very tense setup where you've got, tension between Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman, but you've also got sexual tension between Julianne Moore and her husband, and also Natalie Portman and Joe, Julianne Moore's husband. And you've got, of course, got this awkwardness with the fact that Joe is a grown man, but obviously this thing happened in his past. Significantly, the story takes place in the week before the children's graduations. There's this looming spectre of his children themselves are going to grow up and move on. Anyway, so I think the film on the whole it's one of those times when I was really kind of enthralled and interested and beguiled, but I was also mystified and a bit frustrated as well. That's not to say there's not good stuff in it. I think that the first thing is that the direction by Todd Haynes is great. It's really intelligent, sharp, implicit, subtle directing. You immediately feel like he is laying out all the pieces of this story, and you really kind of paying attention, looking at all of the ways that characters interact and speak with each other, and the hidden meanings. And there's lots of playful things that your mind can spin off on. There's Joe keeps insects is like his hobby, and there's this whole idea of like letting you have to protect an insect and let it form its chrysalis, and then it's time to be set free. But what if you keep it for too long? And there's this conversation around Julianne Moore's character about like her existence. Like she lives in the community, but is she sort of living in a kind of bubble that's being enabled and facilitated by a few people? It's just got this kind of Todd Haynes has always had a really good handle on melodrama. So something like Carol, and also something like Far From Heaven, which he made in 2002, all the time with Julianne Moore, except for Carol, but like Julianne Moore and him, clearly close creative relationship. And Far From Heaven was a kind of play on the 1950s melodramas of Douglas Sirk, and Carol has a little bit in that as well. But even though this film on the surface is played very straight, what works is that Haynes is able to acknowledge and kind of play up the kind of soapy, melodramatic theme at its heart, because you kind of have this like soapy, tabloid story and television actress, not film actress, coming in to try and make something. And he acknowledges that with like, you have these kind of quirky character traits, like I said with Julianne Moore with the lisp, you have the kind of slightly stiff performances and odd phrasing, and you have very deliberate, strident piano chords and strings that are very like telenovela, very daytime TV. But it's got a really wicked sense of humor as well. And I think so it's just great to see Todd Haynes working as good as he is. The performances, like, in a way, like Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, like you kind of take them for granted because they're always so good. And it's like, I can confirm that this is another good Natalie Portman performance and it's another good Julianne Moore performance. But Charles Melton, who plays Joe, who plays Natalie Portman's husband, is really great. He's less of a known actor. I think he's been in Riverdale. I think that's his only kind of known thing.
I've heard about that show.
You've heard about that show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not seen it.
I've heard about like... I heard like...
Is it scandalous?
No, it's like a little bit memed.
Yes, I see. Yes. Anyway, he's great in this because I think up against these two sort of acting heavyweights, this role is so interesting of someone who, like I said, is kind of matured but isn't matured, and is in the process of seeing his children mature, but is happy, but is he happy? And particularly towards the later stages of the film, the performances he has to do is brilliant, and you see the kind of agony and anguish that Joe is in as a character. And I was like, he's the kind of like thread that really comes through in here. I really enjoy watching him. I just think for me, if you kind of sense that I'm kind of tiptoeing around stuff, it's that I think that the story is really interesting. I think the performances are great. I think some of the scenes are excellent and intelligent, and I can tell that there is stuff in there being laid out for me. And also I know that coming out of the film, there's definitely stuff that eluded me. There was a couple of things in reading about it afterwards and listening up that I went, oh, that's what that thing is doing there. That's what that person is doing in that scene.
Would you enhance your experience, or do you think was...
It made me feel that
it could be a bit
sometimes
both,
sometimes I was like, I don't think that was very clear. But then on the flip side, I was like, I'm willing to give it the benefit of a doubt. You've told me that you're probably going to see it this week, right? I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts and talk about it with you.
Yeah.
For me, it just didn't quite land that coup de grace, like that didn't land that killer blow towards the end where it kind of tied these kind of thematic things together. I think I left the film thinking, I've got lots to think about. I keep turning it over in my mind, but also I just kind of wish it had that little punch, like kind of landing in there.
At least it gives you a lot to think about, but but you're still like not quite sure.
It's
the worst is when it's the other way around.
It's like I've like got all the pieces and the instruction manual is over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think this is quite built yet in my mind, but I will keep going. And I keep...
Turn the instructions over.
Are there pieces missing or is this the end of the design? Yeah. So that's it. Go see it for great performance all around, but also mainly from Charles Melton. Todd Haynes has ever been a good director. It's written by, or the story at least is by Sammy Birch, who used to be a casting director. She cast most of the Hunger Games movies.
Oh, right.
And she's pivoted into writing. And apparently it was a red hot script. Natalie Portman produces it. I'd be interested to hear what other people think about it because it's kind of knotty and implicit. And I'll talk about it also after we've done Saltburn as well as the two sort of stand side by side. But if you want kind of, like I said, suppressed tension, sexual tension, psychosexual tension, it's an interesting one, and I'll be interested to hear your thoughts.
It's always an interesting sort of plot device when you have a character who's tasked with studying another character, and the audience gets to learn alongside that character as well about that or that relationship. Like similar to Anatomy of a Fall, even like the court case and the biopsy and the forensics inherently reveals everything.
There's quite
about
a good,
that.
yeah, it's quite a good. That's actually quite a good comparison because, like Anatomy of a Fall, you have a kind of a viewing apparatus being applied to a relationship.
Yeah.
In that case, it's the legal aspect,
Public perception, legal. Yeah.
And this one, it's the kind of actory performance element to it, and in
that sense of being in your best behavior.
Also a trauma that happened in the past. Does that still affect a relationship?
Yeah.
There's one shot in it in particular that towards the end that I was like, I like. I said, even though I said that it didn't, I felt like it didn't land that killer like blow. There was one shot towards the end that I went, that's like emotionally landed a beat for me there.
Okay.
And it worked, but I don't know, just a little bit thinking. I need some other people's thoughts to kind of.
I look forward to finding out that little missing ingredient if I can, but probably not.
But that beat at the end is really good. Anyway, that's May December. Please let us know your thoughts.
To hello at popkitchenpodcast.com.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Saltburn, George. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shall I go now? Okay. Thank you very much.
Clock out. So next up is a bigger film release from this week, which is Saltburn, directed by Emerald Fennell. Second feature from Emerald Fennell.
I think Fennell.
Fennell.
I think
like
I used to call her Fennell like the food, but apparently it's Fennell.
Fennell.
Like,
Is it double L at the end?
Yes, but also it's just apparently how she says it. So
second feature from Emerald Fennell. Thank you. Like Nicholas Flamel. But anyway. Promising Young Woman, a film that I think you were a bit mixed on / you just don't like.
I don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm aware that people quite like it, but I dislike it just for fairly simple reasons, which is like I was very excited. I was so excited to see that film, and it got delayed because of COVID. I was really up for it. I think it does have a great premise,
very striking imagery, striking concept.
Yeah, all that stuff. But I just think it's really poor in places. I think the script is really poor. I think the dialogue's poor.
Which is interesting because it got nominated for best original screenplay,
which is bizarre to me. I'm sorry. I just found that. I found the dialogue really bad. I thought the character motivation was bad. The logic of it was bad. It just didn't work for me. I'm aware that film was made in very short time on a very small budget. I do think Carey Mulligan is great in that. I think there are narrative decisions in it that make no sense, and it flits and pulls its punches. And when I think about that film, I just go, everyone ran away to write the essays about what the film is about, with no one talked about the execution of that film. And the ideas are kind of interesting, but the way that film executes those ideas, I'm just like, no, that's quite sloppy. You thought the similar thing.
I don't think I was affected by it. I don't think I was affected in the way that you were, but I overall enjoyed it. For me, it wasn't the best original screenplay.
I thought you were lukewarm on it.
Yeah, it was fine. I things that I liked about it. I don't think it stuck with me, and I was not picking my brain on it for a long time. I like Carey Mulligan in a lot of things, and I think
it was.
I think like sort of the last act, like the stroke 5, I was a little bit like, okay, stretch, interesting idea, interesting thing to tackle.
I think in a way, it's what happened more at the time was that so many people were running away with this film and talking about what this film meant and what I'm like, it's so great because this, and I think it kind of irritates me because when I sat down to watch it, I was like, but the car, you're talking about how fast this car can run, but for me, the wheels are off of it. It doesn't I can't actually function.
Well, George, you're not alone because
anyway,
I think despite I saw it
2.5 years ago. Give me another 2.5 years and I'll rewatch it.
Sure. It would be a good bonus for you to sit down and try and understand it. But anyway, you're not alone in your criticism of it. There are other people who also share that criticism. I think it'd be safe to say Promising Young Woman had a mixed reception despite being on paper very well received. This now we have Saltburn, which is her follow-up, well not follow-up, but her next film that she's directed, and it is starring Barry Keoghan and Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, and it is all about a character named Oliver Quick who starts at Oxford. We get this wonderful long opening shot to a noughties Oxford sweeping through the start of the year, and Oliver is on a scholarship. He got in because he's got very good grades, and he turns up looking very smart, sort of aspirationally dressed for Oxford. And what we get, which is very common of a lot of stories about the Oxbridge experience, is this not so much a clash, but a melting pot of classes in a very opulent and exaggerated environment, which is the Oxford University experience. And who do we see? Sort of godlike, beautiful, casual, comfortable in his own skin is Jacob Elordi, who plays a character called Felix, who's very much at the centre of this existing crowd, very comfortable in his own skin. And Oliver very much looking on that group, really sort of, you can tell he's trying to find a way in, trying to sort of, lots of films we can compare to this, a la Talent of Mr. Ripley, Brideshead Revisited. It really does wear those, honestly. I also thought The Addams Family, in a way, which you can get, like, just the gothic sense of it, but all the family having their own quirks.
Yeah.
Anyway, one day, Oliver is riding his bike through Oxford, and he sees Felix broken down on his bike, slumped over, and because he's got a puncture on his wheel, and he says, "Oh, do you know what? You can take my bike. I'm just going to walk back to the library anyway to return some books." And Felix is like, "Oh, mate, that's like so. Are you fucking serious?
So
That's really fucking cool
Bloody
of you."
legend.
Oh, mate, Jacob Elordi really doing a decent English accent.
And 2007 as well, by the way.
Yes, so it's naughties. The Livestrong wristbands are on there.
Yeah.
That Livestrong brand took me back.
Yeah.
Do you remember those?
Yeah, of course I used to wear one, yeah.
Everyone. Wasn't there a
And also
scandal?
with the polo shirt. Well,
No, there was the tsunami relief one was a scam, wasn't it?
I don't know, but obviously no one wore the Livestrong after the Lance Armstrong kind
Yes.
of
Yes.
thing.
But
So, anyway.
yeah, that really took me back. So it was naughties, and one day he's at the pub, and there's this sort of other friend who's at Oxford who represents like the other side of like who you could hang out with at Oxford, who's not quite as aspirational.
Played brilliantly, but he was in House of the
It's funny,
Dragon.
Ewan Mitchell.
He played the basically
Yes,
the
he
eye
was-
patch. I was thinking
I can't remember the names.
Ymir, was it?
Oh,
Ymir?
it could be any version
The
of
same one that did the horrible
lots of
villainous
chin, underbite.
yes.
Underbite.
Hello there. Great. Like really
Giving Keira Knightley a run for her money with the underbite.
I enjoy seeing him
Yeah,
in
yeah.
stuff.
He's
But
really
I was
good.
like, oh, that's right, long white hair, eye patch, yeah.
Totally. And he's at the pub one day, and Felix just was like, "Oh, mate, this guy saved me. Come, blah, blah, blah." And he sort of gets semi-integrated into this group, and through certain circumstances, Felix says, "Hey, why don't you come over to my family's place, Saltburn?"
Saltburn.
Brideshead, Saltburn. Gorgeous, stately manor with wings, east, west, a library. This is a moment where he tours him through this incredible, slightly terrifying in terms of how big and empty and like the sort of haunted house vibes, but opulent, palace-esque bedrooms, 4-poster beds, gorgeous gardens with proscenium arches and symmetrical water features and a maze. And he's got parents in Rosamund Pike and Richard E. Grant, who I think we're both just having a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant just gulping every word.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
just swallowing every...
Saltburn. Absolutely, dear boy.
But even the song is, oh gosh, is that what they do?
Yeah.
Yes. But he's good. He's
North, isn't it?
perfectly cast.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Perfectly
And also, may I
cast.
just say, with Rosamund Pike, whenever I see, who I think is great at this, every time I see Rosamund Pike, I'm always like, can you be in more things?
Yeah.
Why are you not in
A
more?
really interesting... Or I think it'd be wrong to assume she always does the same thing. I actually think
doesn't.
she always does something different. And
Yeah,
it's
I think
always
she does as well.
From Die Another Day to Gone Girl
But
to
her,
this.
her performance is always very sharp. Really
Yeah.
cut through.
Calculated,
You feel kind of
slightly
uncomfortable,
sinister, yeah.
but beautiful.
You know, you speak to someone at a party and it's like, they were nice.
Oh, yeah.
But
Do
I
they
don't-
hate me?
Do they? What
they
were they
hate me?
trying to get? Anyway, you've also got Archie Madekwe, who I recently saw in Gran Turismo.
Right.
A true story. Who plays Farley, who's sort of his cousin, isn't he?
Sort of.
Sort
or
of.
like a familial cousin.
Familial cousin who's also in this environment where he's sort of got this slightly interesting dynamic of trying to receive something from their family and also staying there, being also of a different class and being aware of certain dynamics like Oliver is. You've got Carrie Mulligan in there who plays Pamela, who's again another dynamic of someone who's probably overstayed their welcome, which kind of becomes relevant later. The film basically goes on. You've got Barry Keoghan, who at first seems to be this very sort of curious, inquisitive, aspirational person. But what you start to realize, and this isn't really a spoiler, that he has a sort of very dark, sinister undertone to him where he's trying to essentially occupy and take over. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, no, I would say that if you, like, where it marks, I would say Act 1 is Brideshead.
Yes.
And then the
Into
pivot
Talent
to
of
Act
Mr.
2
Ripley.
is massive slide into the talented Mr. Ripley.
A little bit of Skins in there.
Yeah,
That's very cool. But you've got beautiful, lush 4:3 visuals, bright, saturated, colourful, really sort of. What did I say? I said loads of scenes in there where I think that looks beautiful. And then some other scenes where my eyes went like that.
Yeah.
And we all know the scenes if you see them. There's a sort of a dark, gothic, psychosexual element running through this entire thing. Lots of red lights alluding to seduction and temptation, all there.
Look at the colour.
Lots of colour. Beautiful like camera moves in the 360 where he's lying down and there's a super soaker and a colourful towel draped over a novel, and it's all just very much there. George, I'll start with you. Coming into Saltburn, how did you get on with it all together?
So, very good introduction, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I don't even know where. I've been thinking a lot this week about where to start with talking about this because I did prefer it to Promising Young Woman. I do immediately. I was very much like,
Me too.
I can see Emerald Fennell has progressed as a filmmaker. She has great. I mean, probably what helps is the fact that by reward of her winning an Oscar, she was able to have a bigger budget and a longer filming time, and I think that pays off.
Totally.
But within the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh yeah, I can see she's really got a stronger grip on this. And you talked about like the use of color and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I like the kind of playful gothicness, and it's very hammy, and for me, like
the Saltburn text as well.
Yes.
And like, but it's red and pink or something.
And it's kind of like, do you know about giallos? So giallo is a genre or subgenre of horror, which is heavily influenced by Italian films. So Dario Argento and Suspiria and like all those kind of films are like very much giallos, and it actually they're big on color and they're very beautiful. And so if anyone has seen Suspiria, like Saltburn, you have light bled through a curtain, which then makes the room incredibly red and strong yellows and heavily portentous rain, and basically like a gothic thriller. And giallo actually comes from the Italian word for yellow, which references the color of the paperbacks, the kind of pulpy paperbacks you'd get in a library. These kind of cheap thrill novels, like B movies, like text kind of things, right? That's where giallo comes from. But so there's kind of all that. I think I finished it and I came out and I was picking up all those bits that I kind of thought was interesting. Great attention to detail for 2007. Although I will say, for a film set in the summer of 2007, I was surprised to have not heard Gnarls Barkley's Crazy once. Because you couldn't move in that summer for that. It was on everyone's Bebo page.
Too right, yeah.
Anyway, the thing is, what I'm about to say is going to sound like quite harsh, but I will explain it. Because I was thinking about the film and I was trying to explain it to someone, and I thought, do you know what it is? The film is absolute trash, okay? The film is absolute trash, but I don't necessarily mean that or entirely mean that as a bad thing.
It's trashy.
It's trashiness as an aesthetic, okay? Let me just hold on a second. So you have this aesthetic, this oversaturated, very much music video, I found, aesthetic, has a kind of commercial trashiness to it. The kind of everything dialed up, kind of pop colors. I kind of feels trashy. Like I said, the giallo, the kind of pulpy, trashy roots of this kind of over the top style. You have some of the imagery in it is trashy because it's just shocking for shocking's sake. The stuff that Barry Keoghan does in this, which I was just like,
you've seen it, you know the scenes we're talking about. But I was also
just like, okay, because you can, I guess. Yeah. I felt like Emerald Fennell was just, including the shocking imagery, which is fine. The naughties were trashy. I was looking at this and I was reminded of that. I mean, recently, sorry, this is a slight dark pivot, but recently when I watched the Dispatches documentary about Russell Brand, which immediately takes you back to the noughties.
Noughties TV.
And how toxic that kind of culture was at the time, and how kind of, And Emerald Fennell has talked about how 15, wherever you are in time, 15 years ago always seems really like off and bleak.
You need to wait for it to be 25 before it's cool again.
Exactly, right? So the naughty setting in itself is kind of trashy. And this is all very crucially 2007, I think, pre-2008 and the crash that kind of came and wipes everything through. The humour is trashy. It's puerile. It's toilet humour. It's gross out. It's very twisted.
Surrealist,
and that's good. And that's kind of fine. It's high end trash. And that is not a problem. I don't say that necessarily as a criticism, because you can be, because the film is very daft and it becomes progressively daft and silly and ridiculous. But that's fine in and of itself. my issue is kind of two things. The first is that I really lost patience in the last half an hour. And also I felt the film rushed its last half an hour when it was a bit like when I talked to May December about trying to deliver a coup de grace. When you're trying to deliver a really kind of moment, they were like, yep, and then this and this and this. And I thought, guys, Emerald, please, like, don't rush it. I think also, look, there is no denying, it really does borrow heavily from Brideshead and Talented Mr. Ripley. We mentioned it there as like
in the trailer where you and I
like,
said, "Oh, big Brideshead vibes." Before we'd even see
it really does. And okay, you can draw on that. And they make a little joke about Brideshead, and because Barry Cohen says, "Oh, your family sounds like a Evelyn Waugh novel," and he says, "Probably like he was obsessed with our family. He wrote half the characters in that book are based off of my family." And I was like, "No, okay, well, you reference here." But the thing is that Brideshead and the Talented Mr. Ripley. Bryson turned into a TV show and a film. Talented Mr. Ripley turned into a film from a book. Both of them are like superbly written pieces of work. They're not just text, they are actually incredibly well written. Brideshead is really incisive and Talented Mr. Ripley is really thrilling. And Saltburn is kind of neither of those things. And my point is, I don't mind all those kind of trashy thrills, but there was a couple of times when I felt like the film wanted to be deeper, wanted to be satirical, wanted to kind of exist in a kind of wider sense. And I thought, no, sorry. No, I was like, that's where you lose me, okay? You could. So I'm happy to enjoy the trashy thrills. And don't you know, this film made me laugh a couple of times.
Yeah, me too.
And it did shock me, and I enjoyed the kind of titillating trashiness of it. But don't tell me it's a satire. Don't stop and tell me that it's about something deeper. It's a music video. It's a fun, trashy romp. There you go.
I agree with basically everything you said. I don't think I used the same words, but I totally, now you've said it, I totally see what you mean.
So I'm not calling it rubbish. I'm not calling it garbage. It's trash is a different meaning.
I totally see what you mean. Like all the things I like about it, I think came across in my description of it. Gorgeous production design.
Totally.
Shot by La La Land cinematographer Linus Sandgren. I can only imagine the mood boards they went through, talking about colours and things. Absolutely great. My interest in the film, and specifically that character, and I'm going to try and dance around spoilers because some of my more of my problems with it are to do with plot details, right?
Yes,
and we'll see, like comparing Talented Mr. Ripley was going through my mind the entire time about how that character in Talented Mr. Ripley and that dynamic was always fascinating to me.
Yes.
And so infatuating.
Because it's very well written. I mean, that's
sorry. No, not at all. Totally. And the dynamic is fresh and it's always evolving. Whereas I think the character in Saltburn is unfortunately, despite Barry Keoghan being as brilliant as he is.
Really great performance, yeah.
And he's always got that wonderful sense of someone who's, delicate but incredibly sinister and sort of figuring out what you're saying and trying to portray something he doesn't quite feel. It's all brilliant. I really don't think that character is as interesting as the film thinks it is.
Yes.
And that totally reveals itself to you. I think especially in the last act, that some of the last scenes felt, what are we going to do to finish this? Yeah. Set this here in that, just felt like a lazy last scene.
Yeah.
There was a moment towards the end where I thought a character was going to do a thing to a person, but they didn't. But my whole audience went, "Oh my god!" because we'd seen what we had seen earlier in the film, and yet unfortunately, it just doesn't stick the landing. This whole idea of somebody who's calculated and I don't want to use the word psychopath, but someone who's sinister. I started having this conversation. Was like, do we need reasons for someone to be sinister and psychopathic? And if they don't, I need to know a little bit more about why. And I don't think this film had this effort of trying to explain to me all this stuff. And I was like, no, I already kind of was there and I could have predicted you were going to do that towards the end. I'm really dancing around spoilers here. No, but my interest sort of hummed at a 6 and I don't think it ever got there and that ending didn't stick for me.
Yeah,
I gorgeous to look at, lovely 4x3, beautifully shot.
That's the thing.
Jacob Elordi, what a gorgeous beefcake he is.
I think it's just about. If it was any longer, I think it would. I'd be really more negative. If it lost 20 minutes, I think I would have lasted a bit better. But I agree. I think, but Barry Keoghan, great, like as ever.
Yeah,
brings
he
that kind
is
of steely,
a very interesting presence in a lot of what he does.
And the thing is about Emerald Fennell is that I, in a way, now was kind of thinking I would really like you to go and adapt something now. Actually, I know that sounds really harsh because I basically said like. Don't write something. No. Like, but it's more that like you clearly have such like a vivid like style and approach, and
an interesting voice. I think.
Yeah,
a unique voice.
Yes, and I want that kind of approach in the same way like Greta Gerwig started with like, you know, Lady Bird, made something of it, and then applied it to Little Women and Barbie. And I'm like, oh yeah, I want to see you kind of interrogate something else. You basically kind of did it with Brideshead here. You put your own spin on it. Why didn't you go and
similarly, sorry, like love what she did with Barbie. So excited for her to go and do something completely different next.
Yeah, with Gerwig, yeah.
Yes, go with Gerwig.
But I feel like I've been a bit harsh. I just don't think I don't think Fennell is as good a writer as she is a director. That's my thing. I just personally think that we can see the direction, this and the style. I was just like, look, all this style. Maybe we could just remove that from the script and place it somewhere else.
I'd love to talk some spoilers with you, either off camera or we should do it on the show maybe in a couple of weeks. We can address it, especially if you guys send emails in. Speaking of emails, Khadija, friend of the show, writes in with an email saying, Saltburn! Hi, James and George. Love that you guys are talking about Saltburn because I caught it last night to end my birthday weekend. And what an ending it was, both the weekend and the movie. First off, I want to talk about the cast because from top to bottom, it was amazing. Rosamund Pike, Mother, was hilarious in her performance. And of course, so is Barry Keoghan. I'm so obsessed. We decided.
I think he said that. I think he might actually say. Okay, they talked about this on Kermit and Mayo because I think Barry Keoghan said technically it's Keoghan, but he and a lot of other people say Keoghan or Keegan.
Keoghan.
I'm going to say Keoghan.
I'm so obsessed with him playing absolute weirdos who enters people's lives and wreaks havoc. It's what he's best at. Despite the film's slightly disappointing third act, I think we both agree with that, I really enjoyed the movie and how unrivaled? How it unraveled. Cinematography was great, and the score was even better, so much so that I've downloaded it on my Spotify now, which I rarely do. Yes, good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Emerald is 2 for 2 in my books, and I can't wait to see what she does next. P.S. It's Khadija with a hard J. And yes, I am the new gen where capitalization in a non-professional setting gives me the ick. Do you remember last time she emailed? And similarly in this email, not a capital letter to be found.
That's just not how language works.
I know, and so Khadija,
it's really confusing.
I'm going to assume you're like at least 5 or 6 years younger than me, just based on that statement. But are we boomers for just saying you sometimes need a capital letter? It indicates to the reader what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. It exists for a reason. It's like
you're not a YouTube vlogger being like morning coffee routine.
It's like, I'm going to give you a video, but it's going to be on mute because I find mutes give me the audio gives me the ick.
Khadija, thank you for writing into the show. Also,
Kevin also writes in about Saltburn. He says, hi, James and George.
Hi.
First time messaging you guys. It's a joy listening to you guys talk about films in a natural way, and I feel most of my opinions are fairly similar to you both.
Thank you.
A couple of my favourite films this year, outside of the obvious great blockbusters, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, are the unique, often A24 films that have a more interesting style, and ones that are not afraid to be bold, different, and impactful, such as Cat Person, Dream Scenario, Pearl, Talk to Me, and Killers of the Flower Moon. Saltburn is now added to that impeccable list.
There you go.
And then bold and underlined, thoughts on Saltburn.
With capital letters, Khadija.
Kevin.
No, Khadija.
Oh, I saw a second, I was just like, we've moved on now, James.
Not me.
This is Kevin.
Not me. Khadija's still listening.
I was so excited and energized after watching it. I was desperate to talk to people about it, but no one I knew had seen it yet, which was frustrating. A masterstroke of cool. This was powerful. So that sounds like I'm taking the piss. I'm sorry, Kevin.
No, not at all. I think you did
it's the way you wrote it. A masterstroke of cool. This was powerful, dark, twisted, and hilarious at times in the most uncomfortable way. Emerald Fennell wrote and directed this, as well as Promising Young Woman, and she needs many awards for this insane, beautifully shot and edited masterpiece. Really? Also, she was Midge in Barbie. Haha.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah.
Barry Keoghan confidently and bravely attacks this character, and you can't keep your eyes off of him. He's a subtle stud, and he is.
How about that last scene?
Hey, how about it, buddy? And the focus is meant to be transferred to the desirable Felix character, played by Jacob Elordi. But Keoghan is so bizarre and interesting; he's always the main attraction. This is a stunning film to watch, especially in the cinema. Watched in the newly opened cinema in place of location. I'm just trying to keep it generic.
Yes.
As every shot looks artistic, perfectly lit and composed. I mean, I do agree. Can I just say, there were some shots I thought,
gorgeous.
Lovely.
Gorgeous to look at.
Music
Thank
video.
God.
It's impossible to tear your eyes away. I'm very excited to see what everyone involved here does next, as I was blown away, especially Elordi in the new Priscilla film as well, which he impressed.
He's also very good in Priscilla.
For a gentle meandering plot, this film draws you in as you know something is happening, though you can't put your finger on it yet until it ramps up towards the end, giving you a shocking finale. I loved seeing a personal favourite, Rosamund Pike, being an entirely horror of a mother who is still oddly endearing and very entertaining. Also, Richard E. Grant, perfectly cast as the slightly eccentric Sir James Caton. You've written this, Kevin, I must say, very detailed, like an assignment for a teacher. When you mention a character, you explain who plays them.
Yeah.
And when you mention an actor, you explain which character
For
they
the
play.
audience. It's
That's
like
great.
good broadcasting.
It is very helpful. The soundtrack was unnerving, really dramatising at the tense moments, and euphoric early noughties songs late noughties, contrasting the atmosphere at times. What a great year for films! This is definitely one of the best of the year. Extraordinary cast, perfectly written and directed. Sorry if that's a bit long, but I hope you guys agree. Many thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. Especially love playing along with games at the end, which I'm either great or terrible at. Great fun. Always makes you smile. Much love. Kev, smiley face.
There you go, George. Do you think, because that's two reviews, much more positive than our takes on it. Do you think it's going to be another one where people are like, yay or massive?
I don't know.
You're more of a nay on.
No, I think. I don't know. Maybe it could be a bit of a split. I think some people are going to maybe really go into it, like Kevin did. I feel like I must say, like I really don't have any sort of like strong. I don't have a strong.
No, I
dislike
think you're a nay
with
on promising.
Yeah. But this, I'm kind of you and I kind of like there's something
lots of enjoyable elements
stuff in there. I don't know if I'd watch it again.
There are like specific plot things I think I could go into detail of. I don't want to spoil it for people because it can be spoiled.
I don't think the whole plot. I wouldn't say the plot is kind of satisfying enough ultimately.
Smart enough.
I didn't come out thinking, that was a satisfying, or wrap
no
up,
way.
or smart enough.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You know what I kind of feel like, James? Just to bring it back to the trash idea, it's like watching Saltburn is a bit like eating an entire posh box of chocolates,
Yeah.
And you end it and you think, they were like, it was posh and well designed and stuff, but I still feel like trash.
I think it feels like watching it feels like looking at a mood board of magazine cuttings and references. There's a sort of slightly kaleidoscopic mishmash of colour and stick that on that.
Which again,
video
is kind of trashy, like low quality, low
kind
sauce.
of like a picture book of ideas.
I
think
scrappiness
that's reducing
to it.
The scrappiness to
Yeah.
it, but then like so gorgeous to look at. Taylor Swift shoot your next music video there, smashing. Guys, thank you so much for. Oh, sorry, go on.
Just in case it was just me, did you find the audio, the dialogue in the Oxford sections really muffled and hard to pick up on some of the dialogue?
Nothing I recall.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for sending in your thoughts to Saltburn. I'd love to pick up on this conversation.
Yes.
If people do get the chance to see it and you feel either similarly to us or differently to Kevin and Khadija, please send in your thoughts to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com. George.
Sorry, just to bring this episode talk about films in a way just to a point. I mentioned that May, December and Saltburn are interesting comparisons together.
Oh, yes, you did.
And I was because I saw them I saw May, December, then I saw Saltburn. And when I held them up next to each other, I was like, both are films, both are psychosexual thrillers about an outsider from a different class entering a world with ambiguous intentions, okay? The difference is that Saltburn is all explicit. I mean, literally explicit.
And to the end,
but like everything is like, wah, la, la, la. It's loud, it's brash, it's trashy. Whereas May, December is subtle, implicit, undertone, and I think personally, because probably down to taste, but when I held those two films up next to each other, I felt like May, December was much more the intelligent film, much more got under the kind of the grit of that story. Whereas Saltburn, I was like, it was a lark, really. That's what I mean. It's a joke. It's daft, but it's kind of fun. But it's
and then you look over at Talented Mr. Ripley, and it's like the most elegant, chic film you could ever watch.
We've mentioned this on the show a couple of times.
Delicate.
But like, I really, really cannot recommend that film enough. I
see it, and if you've seen it once, see it again.
Yes, it gets better.
It does
each
get
time.
better. I did a perfect 6 years apart when I rewatched it recently.
It's a really gorgeous looking film. It's beautiful. It's uncomfortable, and it is really well written. The whole you're constantly watching Matt Damon, watching his brain tick, and watching him calculate things, and it's so compelling and thrilling in a way that Barry Keoghan's character is not as interesting as Tom Ripley. Go and see The Talented Mr. Ripley. Go and read Brideshead Revisited. Yeah. It's great stuff. And, enjoy Saltburn.
I played Sebastian in a sixth form play of Brideshead Revisited. Yeah. I very much enjoyed it.
I wrote... Because it's funny, because you don't strike me as a Sebastian, you strike me much more as a Charles.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's because I'm getting the Jeremy
An
Irons.
actor, George, is a chameleon of all sorts. A funny story. So when I was... So a funny story, the first night we performed that, There was, like classic school play, very much like a revolving set of different things, and like the stage crew who are like year 7 kids, like coming on in crew blacks to like move stuff around. And there was this drinks trolley, Sebastian, alcoholic and Brideshead Revisited, that was like always being filled with glasses and things. And in one transition, this kid smashes like very fine crystal glass right at the front center of the stage. And there's smashed glass there, but like before anyone can do anything, lights are up into the next scene, which I'm in. And in this scene, I meant to lie on that piece of stage and have this very intimate moment with Charles. And I remember just seeing it, like, I'm operating at such a high frequency. I'm nervous, I'm prepared, but I'm like, I'm just gonna lie on this glass.
Yeah, you did.
And I literally just like lay down, and I literally could just hear the glass go as it just stabbed into my side. I remember people in the audience went,
You're kind of dying for your art there.
I died for my art, George. But that was it. Moving on to the emails section of the show. George, should we go through some of the emails that our loving sirens send into the podcast? Guys, if you wanted to send an email into the show, you can do by emailing into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com, just like Naomi did. Friend of the show says, "Hi guys, I recently watched The Marvels, and I have to say, I don't think it was that bad." If you'd like a review to The Marvels the other week,
you were less than enthusiastic.
Was not enthusiastic, but I did end up talking a lot more about the state of MCU and comic book films as a whole and what that film represented. But yes, that is there. Was it one that Naomi goes on to say, was it one of the best Marvel movies? No, really not. But compared to recent projects, it is my favorite. Don't know when you're starting recent projects there.
Post-Endgame, maybe?
Probably. First of all, it was nice to see something that didn't feature Kang at all for a change.
Yeah.
I think it was a nice step. Kang's getting a long run up into his Avengers film.
If he gets it.
If he gets it. Whereas like Thanos put on a glove.
I mentioned that because they're talking about pivoting away from
Whereas
that.
Thanos like put on a glove and then he was basically in. Anyway,
you're right.
didn't feature Kang at all for a change. I think it was a nice standalone story that also fits into the bigger picture. The story was coherent. There was actually a purpose to everything that happened, not like in Quantum Mania where they were just trying to find each other. So true.
Can I make a point, by the way? I was thinking about this with Quantum Mania. Just a massive
Tangent.
Think back to Quantum Mania.
I can.
Remember, the first 8 minutes is set on Earth, and then the whole premise is then they get sucked into the quantum realm because Cassie, his daughter, has been meddling about, and
she's quantum curious.
Do you remember she is? And do you remember Janet Van Dyne is like, "You've been going into the quantum realm. No, don't go there."
Here's all this stuff I never explained.
Just a thought, right? Wouldn't that have been more interesting if, like, Janet Van Dyne had said, "Don't go to the quantum realm. It's really, really dangerous," and we don't know anything about it, by the way. No opening Kang scene, okay?
Yeah.
Like we do. And then Scott is like, yeah, we won't do it, we're going to shut it down. But then Scott gets an idea, or somehow is given the idea that there's something of value to be gotten from the quantum realm. Because remember, Scott used to be a thief, right?
Yeah, a heist.
And so the heist part of his brain is like, I know I shouldn't go to the quantum realm.
But we could get...
But if we went there, why don't we do it? And then it becomes a heist movie, heist gone wrong.
Yeah.
And then you also have a conflict then between the Van Dynes
and they're not trying to find each other. They've got to get something.
They've also got to get something.
Yeah.
Do they get that thing? But I'm not saying I'm not. Don't put me in front of the movie. I'm not saying I'm going to write it. But I just thought a morsel of more drama, just a morsel of more drama instead of just going, well, we're falling down the quantum hole.
And she was like, "Don't go down there. It's so dangerous." Like at the end of the day, was it? You had Bill Murray having a laugh at a little space bar, lots of sort of lava lamp visuals. So I guess Kang was there, but it wasn't what I would describe as like an inherently dangerous environment.
No,
there's dangerous
they
potential.
Came back.
I feel like you could lay low there.
Yeah, you could
lay low.
Holiday, dare I say?
Just when everything's a bit much in the main realm,
just shrink it down.
Go quantum.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Naomi. Apologies.
Enjoyed that. The story went back on to the Marvels. The story was coherent. There was actually a purpose in everything that happened, not like in Quantum Mania where they were just trying to find each other. Also, we finally got answers as to why Captain Marvel never visited Monica. It also shows the side of Marvel that I really love. Not even superheroes are perfect. Now that we've seen that Captain Marvel went completely haywire over the supreme intelligence and almost destroyed an entire planet, I agree that this villain wasn't the best ever, but she didn't need to be. It was just a minor villain for one movie, and she was perfectly fine for that. She at least had a reason for her wrongdoing. It was willing to spoilers.
Don't say. Just because
had a reason and thingamajig. That's what makes the best villains, because from her point of view, she isn't one. But last but not least, it had the first good post-credit scene in a long time. It promised something more, the next chapter in the MCU, and that got me really excited again for the upcoming Marvel movies. Thanks so much for your podcast, Naomi. Naomi, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I think from reading your email, I disagree with certain elements. I think we're both looking for very different things in a Marvel movie, and I'm not to say that Captain Marvel is the most unwatchable, atrocious film. I more just look at that style and what that gets me excited about, and it offers me so little as someone who I consider myself someone who's paying attention and generally trying to like extract some value and some originality from episode 35 of the Marvel show, and I'm just not finding it. So like I disagree with some sense. I don't think that post-credit scene was that interesting. We already knew that thing was happening. It's been alluded to for a long time. I'm sorry, I don't find the villain. that is not the quality of villain.
What was that again?
Get.
Din Bar, Ben
Dar. Dar Ben. It was Dar Ben.
Dar Ben.
Dar Ben.
Oh wow.
So I respectfully, Naomi, I'm so glad you enjoyed it, but I do disagree.
This next email is also from Naomi,
Coming in hot.
who sent another email after that email about 45 minutes later about James's other excoriating review on the Hunger Games.
If I may, I have only...
You may.
I was very scathing about the Hunger Games. I only have one retraction. I stand by everything I said. I made a comment about the fact that it's heavily chaptered with the part 1, part 2, part 3, which felt to me, watching it, who hadn't read a page of the book, like it was an afterthought. Somebody correctly in the YouTube comments said, actually, this was the structure of the book. But anyway, and I said to him, thank you for letting me know. I still stand by everything else I said. As you were, George.
Naomi says, hi guys, I've already watched Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes twice.
Well done.
I really loved it. Somehow they managed to put everything important from the book into the movie in less than 3 hours. Well, yeah, I mean, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Which is really impressive because there was so much to tell. The cast is fantastic. It was like the characters I imagined while reading were actually coming to life. I'm a huge fan of Viola Davis, and she is wonderfully creepy and crazy in this movie. I haven't seen Tom Blythe, Coriolanus Snow, in anything before, but I was really impressed, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him more often. You said like seeing him more often, like he's going to be down the shops.
Yeah.
Tom Blythe. Yeah. Although I'm not a huge fan of Rachel Zegler, I mean, there's a lot of negativity, but we talked about this. I think, guys, she's a human being. Let's move on. She can sing damn well.
She really can.
And there is, therefore, the perfect role of Lucy Gray.
She can sing. She's technically an excellent singer. You couldn't ask for a better singer when you cast someone to sing in a film. Unfortunately, the tone of the songs and the way in which there's something to be said for the delivery of music, which just sometimes can feel like you're being sung at, especially outside of a musical.
God.
To introduce that to a world, again, not read a page of the book, I don't think The Hunger Games warrants itself to music outside of a... I think that's it.
Again, flashbacks to sort of
it just felt like I was being
karaoke.
sung at. Like when Ken is like with the guitar.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sober karaoke. You can clearly see that they have put a lot of work and effort into the locations and the costumes. They perfectly show the transition from the war to the pretentious over-the-top style of the Capitol in the late Hunger Games movies. You can also tell by the detailed and accurate delivery of the dialogue and action that Suzanne Collins was a co-producer with some of the same music from previous films and the same director. There really is a familiar Hunger Games feeling, but with a new take on it. There is just one thing that might be confusing for people who haven't read the book. As we already know, just making sure this isn't a spoiler.
Yeah, it's not. That's just general.
As we already know, Coriolanus is pretty cruel as a president later, but if you don't read his thoughts, you kind of miss the process of how he gets there from a young, innocent student that didn't even like the Hunger Games in the beginning. Nevertheless, as a huge fan of the franchise, I can say that the movie did not disappoint and even exceeded my expectations. I would proudly wear my Mockingjay pin to go watch it again. Love your podcast.
Well, there you go. I think, Naomi, again, very happy for you that you enjoyed it. I think
you are the target audience.
There is a difference. You're clearly the target audience. You've read the books. I think you have more of an affection for it than I did. I, maybe having not read the books, was not waiting to find out how they interpreted my favourite scene.
Yes.
And I was just, I have to stand by what I said. I do think it was profoundly boring and just some misjudged character moments and dialogue that I just don't think jumped off the page. But Naomi, so happy for you that you enjoyed it. I hope other people who love the Hunger Games enjoy it too. As always with everything, I hope people enjoy the films they go and see in general. Yeah. I don't like saying I don't like a film, but I really was irritated by it. This next one is from Matt, who writes in and says, 5 Nights review and question.
Right, because 5 Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Which I also gave a
You know, George, we
drubbing.
came in hot the last couple of episodes.
did.
We really
We
did.
didn't hold back.
I even put like the height of my scathing review in like the cold open because I thought that'll get people listening to the show. What film is he talking about? Anyway, hello, George and James, says Matt. Matt, the cinema host here. Again, you'll be happy to know that since I last wrote in, I actually have a new job. I am no longer on the front lines in the cinema. My 6 years of active service in the cinema are up. Does this make me a veteran of sorts? Matt, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Anyway, hope you're both well. I've been loving the pod recently. Congrats on your 100th episode.
Thank you.
Listening to last week's episode, I found myself disagreeing with George's very passionate review of Five Nights at Freddy's. Definitely not the most amazing film I've ever seen, but I thought it was enjoyable. Maybe it was the popcorn, maybe it was the nachos, maybe it was the free tickets I got from the cinema host working who made sure to make friends with before I handed in my notice. Maybe I just liked it. So here I am speaking on behalf of Freddy. I think the film hit me at the right time. My expectations weren't high going into it, so I wasn't sure what to expect, and as it started, I just went with it. As it's a video game adaptation, George, do you just want to comment on that?
It was the popcorn. It was the free tickets. It was the nachos. The film is terrible. I'm sorry.
Very happy you enjoyed it, Matt. As it's a video game adaptation, my question is there a particular video game, book, or short story that you would like to see an adaptation of? My go-to answer at the moment would be God of War, which I'm certain a TV series is in the works for the IP. There is. Anyways, I hope this question wasn't too long. Have a good one, lads, and keep being awesome. George, any IP that you're sort of
video
gagging?
game specific, right?
Games for me, I've always thought they should do BioShock, but not do BioShock 1. They should take the concept of Rapture and that whole idea of like an Ayn Rand fallen society and tell us. I'm assuming that like the execution is going to be good as The Last of Us. By the way, so it's like they've all usually been bad. I'm assuming the love and care is like of Last of Us caliber. I would go BioShock. Yeah.
I also think that I've thought for ages they are doing Fallout.
Yeah.
But there's something I really liked about Fallout New Vegas where it was like, that was kind of like an isolated story, very specific. It's about one, everyone's trying to get to the tower in the middle. And there's all these different stories. I quite like the story of that. I love the. Have you ever played Fallout?
Yeah.
I've always really enjoyed that. I've just thought that's kind of right.
It's
for
not my thing,
storytelling. Isn't it quite similar to BioShock?
No.
Okay, my mistake.
No.
Also, I would say, I know it seems like regressive to say this, but like Red Dead Redemption.
If they could do any, so here's the question.
If it's Last of Us caliber,
the problem is that you need to. Are we thinking about things that are already good and could enjoy a larger audience by putting it on a mainstream TV show, or are we looking for something that doesn't quite get what it needs to from a video game format, and you need to add cinematography and the element of let's be honest, better storytelling that typically exists in films to elevate that story.
TV.
Red Dead Redemption 2 was a fucking incredible story. That genuinely.
I only played the first one.
Tears, blown away, and part of its charm was the fact that you had genuinely original encounters as you explored that world. It was really slow and really took its time, maybe a little bit too long towards the end, but you're like, you totally earned the right to take that amount of time. This is a controversial one, if I may go on. Grand Theft Auto, right? Hold on. Most successful entertainment IP of all time, right? If you were to capture that sense of satirizing American culture, along with you take the elements of GTA 5 of being a really great heist movie, you get a really sharp, funny script with the wit and sharpness of something like a Succession, but you add like Gone in 60 Seconds and The Italian Job with really great characters. I think that'd be great. The problem is nobody executes that well.
No.
But if I'm assuming it can be executed that well, there is something in the GTA zeitgeist that gets people excited, and I think that'd be cool. I don't want to know. And also, sorry, Matt, I personally don't want a God of War TV show. I don't think doing the Norse fantasy environment in a TV show with, frankly, like not enough budget is going to look good. Like that is also fantastical. It's just, Kratos is also like 8'6", and that world is so well done in that video game world, and the story is fantastic, and it's good enough and does everything it needs to in that sphere. So good. It's God of War 2018. I'm talking
Assassin's Creed would have been better as a TV show.
Probably, but I don't know if it would have gotten the budget to do it. The Assassin's Creed movie was a weird choice to have so much.
That's a forgotten film.
Out of the animus. It felt like the whole of the actual assassin bits were tacked on, and the bit famously like the old Assassin's Creed games, people rarely care about like the outside existential story. They're actually just quite happy to be the assassin that they saw on the box of the game.
It's weird. They probably in hindsight they were like, why did we even have that whole extra.
Yeah.
Like no one really cares about the conspiracies.
And like as
they
structurally,
want to climb up a building.
as an animist, it's like you get into this machine that allows you to live the memories of your ancestor, but the ancestor isn't connected to the person from the future. So there's a little bit of disconnect of like you're going back in time to do something, but actually you're not controlling them, but they don't know you're controlling them. And I think cinematically that dynamic of like who's connected
there's
to
no causal
who.
relationship as well, because that one character can progress and not affect the other. Yeah.
I thought it just didn't quite come across, unfortunately, despite Fassbender casting.
This next email is from Craig, who says, my favourite still photography catch. Hi, James and George / George and James. I'm a relatively new listener to the podcast by only a few months. I have followed your TikTok for a long, long time, but only recently started listening, and I am loving it.
You slowed down like an Alec Guinness. No, that's a name I've not heard
for a long time. Just, he says loving it in capital letters and exclamation marks. If you put emphasis, and I will read it with such. I work as a manager in a multi-arts venue called Summerhall in Edinburgh, and I often listen on a single solitary AirPod while other headphones are available.
I've been to Summerhall.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
While setting up for events, gigs, weddings, etc.
Nice.
Anyway, you spoke briefly in your 100th episode, congrats by the way, about the importance of a still photographer on set, and they often catch pieces of gold like Scorsese and Gladstone in the church for Killers of the Flower Moon. We talked about a still photographer is like, there and catching the behind the scenes footage, but also captures stills from them shooting that they then use in the marketing of it, but they're all right in the action. They're right there.
Yep.
One of my favourite pieces of perfectly timed stills photography is from Timothy Chalamet's movie The King. Timothy is leaning over his chair, taking directions from David Michôd, and the director. And the photographer captured this, probably thinking nothing of it, and it ended up being the poster for the entire film campaign. I have attached the images below. Although the film was average, I always enjoyed this little fact. Do you have any similar photography tidbits? Keep up the good work. By the way, Revenge of the Sith is a great film, and if you're in Edinburgh, come stop by.
I'm coming to Edinburgh next week.
Sent from a rotary phone in the library downstairs because it is dark upstairs and I'm afraid of the dark. James, here are the photos.
I'm looking at them now.
There is the top one of
Timothy
Chalamet. Oh, you can see it,
yeah.
And then that is the poster they made afterwards. Maybe, James, you could put this on the screen for any viewers.
That is. You know what? I will put on the screen. That's actually really interesting.
Yeah. I also think...
they've given him some extra, like, they've upped the clarity slider and Lightroom and give it some crunch. But that is really interesting.
I also think that film... I know you said the film was average,
I've not
Craig.
seen it.
I actually think it was better than people gave it. I really enjoyed it.
It was well reviewed.
Yeah, I don't know. It was mixed.
It was given mixed.
But no. It was given mixed. I thought it was solid. Like, it was perfectly fine. It was really portentous.
Chalamet coming out, Call Me By Your Name as well.
Yeah, I thought it was perfectly solid. It was fine. A lot of these people critics got wound up by the fact they were like, well, it's Henry V, but it's not Shakespeare, but they've kept Falstaff, who wasn't even a real character. I'm like, who cares? We're here for the trebuchets and we're here for the knights in armour, okay? Oh yeah, great trebuchet action in this. Yeah. Very well shot film. Anyway, thank you, Craig.
This next one is from Joel, who writes in and says, hi guys, big fan of the show. I recently watched 2001 A Space Odyssey for the first time. Wow. We talked weeks ago about, is it good? Should you watch it? We discussed it. I've been recommended this by a couple of my mates. I was really excited as I heard such great things. As you know, there is no dialogue for a good 20 minutes at the start of the film. When the film entered the first scene that included dialogue, I found out it was in French.
No!
As I knew it was supposed to be in English, it's safe to say I was fuming, and it took me completely out of Je suis désolé. I was fuming and it took me completely out of the film. I closed my laptop in complete rage and needed a long walk to feel better. It has been a month now and I still haven't gone back to it. Have you ever had a viewing experience that has completely ruined your outlook on a film? Cheers, Joel. Well, I imagine that would annoy you if you've 20 minutes, but I think you can safely pick up from where you started, because that opening is iconic and distinctive and you remember exactly what happens. You can go in to the rest of the film.
Viewing experience is ruined. Well, what I would say is I'll bring this back to an episode last year when we reviewed After Sun, and anyone who was listening at that time, and where we've had a lot of new listeners since then, will remember that I missed the first opening. Well, I didn't know how long I'd missed. I thought it was about 2 minutes, could have been 4 minutes. I missed the beginning of After Sun, and it completely, because of a long thing we were talking about, usually
you can't guarantee there's 25 minutes of ads.
But usually, I've been going to the cinema a long time, and usually there is 23 minutes of adverts, okay? And I'd been to this cinema before, and I went in and they'd only done maybe maximum 10, okay? I was 12 minutes past the advertised show time, which is normally plenty of time. They're not even sometimes they're not even showing the trailers then. And sometimes now I'll go and see a film and they'll give me half an hour of adverts and I'll go. Ugh. Anyway, I missed the beginning. It completely threw me, and it really did affect my enjoyment of that film. And I have a note in my head to go back and watch After Sun. Anyway, I mention this again because when Anna and I went to Florida, we're on the plane, and After Sun is one of the films. Now, After Sun is not the kind of film I want to watch on a plane. But I said, let's see how much we missed.
I remember you saying.
And we put it on, and we watched it, and we missed 5 minutes of the beginning, which is a significant portion. And if you look at... The problem is with After Sun, not problem, but the thing is with After Sun, because it's such a tightly lipped film, it doesn't reveal a lot of information.
It's a textural one.
We were looking at all the things you're told cinematically in the opening 5 minutes about the tone of the film, the perspective of the film, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, this would have been crucial.
You're not watching it, you're thinking, what could have possibly been said or been set up that would explain this? You know what's also equally annoying about that phenomenon of film starting like 5 minutes after the time they say they do, is that even if you're perfectly on time, you're going to see groups of people in the next 25 minutes walk in, which
That's exactly
I also
what happens.
find distracting when that happens. I think Passages, when I saw that was, I think I said it was like 7 minutes after the call time it was going. And you get people coming in and you're distracted because I'm like, God, they've missed all the setup and they're confused, they've got their phone torch. It's bad for the rest of the people.
I would also say, that aside, no matter how long the adverts are on for, whether it's 7 minutes, 12 minutes or half an hour, it doesn't matter what film I see, every time I go to the cinema, without fail, there is always someone coming in 10 minutes after the time the film starts. It's like
really late.
It's like it's an automated bot that the cinema wheels out, and they go and start the film, and now start the latecomer.
Should there be a rule from when the opening second of the film starts? You've got 6 minutes. Should there be a cutoff? Should the cinema multiplex
Stop at a
picture
missing
house
people.
essentially go, sorry, the actual film's now started? It's distracting.
Yeah, hard to police though.
It's hard.
Thank you for that. This last email is from Lucy, and she writes in big capital,
Size
40 font, like, hey boys! The opportunity to message you after our latest episode where you mentioned Band of Brothers was too good to pass up.
Nice.
I just finished rewatching the series a day ago.
Oh, nice.
I'm a serial rewatcher and probably watch it once a year. Well, I just wanted to sing its praises on the off chance that anyone hasn't seen it. Band of Brothers, remember everyone, produced by Spielberg and Tom Hanks. 2001 series. I think it still holds up. We're both keen to rewatch it.
It's a big box set.
Yeah.
Everyone's got the box set.
I've got the metal box.
Oh, look at my steel
folds
case.
out. Yeah, steel case. Yeah.
Spare no expense.
I just want to sing it my praises of it, blah, blah, blah. In case anyone hasn't seen it. I know you often get asked about your favorite film scores, and the Band of Brothers score is definitely at the top for me. Absolutely. Michael Kamen's score is iconic. I've listened to that so much. The opening theme is amazing. Sorry?
I can't say I have it like in the frontal lobes.
I can't do it, but it's
Get off it though.
I remember because also that's Michael Kamen's last score as well. I think he died the following year. It's brilliant. Great opening scene. Anyway. I never skip the opening credits because I enjoy it so much. And in its final rendition in the last episode, during the coupled with the voiceover, it makes me bawl every time. I agree. That last episode when it's called the on the score, it's called the Band of Brothers Requiem. It's so moving. Like most people, I hope I'm very anti-war and find a lot of war films, I'm looking at you, Hacksaw Ridge, to be overly saccharine, pro-war, and just a bit of an awkward watch at times. Thank you.
God, 104 episodes, or however since I brought it up.
Thank you,
I feel
Lucy.
so heard. It is weirdly pro-war and fetishizing of going above and beyond to be this creepy hero. It's an incredible story, weirdly executed. Sorry, Lucy, thank you.
However, when I'm wiping away that final tear after watching Band of Brothers, I find myself thinking, wow, that's what a real hero looks like. Crying emoji. For anyone in the UK that wants to watch it, both Band of Brothers and the Pacific are now on Now TV.
Nice.
Also, I would agree that Band of Brothers is better than the Pacific.
The specific.
She's also written Band of Brothers as B.O.B., so I'm saying Bob. But I still think that the Pacific is good and worth watching all the way through. Also, How good does Band of Brothers look considering its age?
Yeah.
Excluding the one parachute scene with awful CGI, guys, it was 2001.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised by how it feels like it could have been shot a couple of years ago rather than 22 years ago. That's all for now. Thanks, lads. I agree. It looks fantastic. Thank you very much, Lucy, for that email.
Guys, thanks so much for sending in your
Always good to hear
emails.
from you.
Always great to hear from you guys. Send us your thoughts about Saltburn, about May, December, about all sorts to hello@popkitchenpodcast.com. George, as always, it's time to play a game. George, as always, Pop Kitchen ends
With a game.
with a game. George, I've got a new game for you. It's one of those, like, it's like a limited series. It's only going to play it once.
Okay.
You can't possibly play it again because we'll have done it, right? I've split it into 2 rounds. George, Disney films.
Okay.
Timeless. We grew up with them.
Yes.
They're still going on.
Yes.
Have some of the most famous mostly musicals.
Yes.
Have some of the most famous songs ever
Sure.
in them. But my question to you, George, is can you tell me the Disney movie from the song?
I'm going to say probably not because I haven't seen that many Disney movies.
But you'll know at least.
Sure, okay.
Right, George, are you ready? Please play along at home. You have to guess the Disney movie from the song. Ready? 3, 2, 1. A Whole New World.
Aladdin.
Hakuna Matata.
Lion King.
I Won't Say I'm in Love. Hercules. Let It Go.
Frozen.
Yes. Ever, Ever After. Enchanted. When You Wish Upon a Star.
Oh, isn't that like Dumbo?
No.
Same era?
Yeah. Lies. He lies a lot.
Lies.
Pinocchio. Under the Sea.
Little Mermaid.
Yes. Once Upon a Dream.
Dream. Something to do with dreaming. Once upon a dream.
Who would be asleep?
A Sleeping Beauty.
Yes. Be Our Guest.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. Portobello Road. It's hard.
Portobello.
Bed
No,
Knobs
wait.
and
I could
sorry.
Okay. Portobello.
Colours of the Wind.
Right. Wind. Something to do with
My
the air.
favourite. One of my favourites.
One of your Mary Poppins.
No.
Wait. Wind. Air travel in it. I haven't seen a lot of these films.
Air travel. Colours. Can
Colour?
you paint with all the colours? of the mountain?
No, I don't know.
Pocahontas. Reflection.
Tarzan. No, that's well, Reflection. Little Mermaid again.
Ooh, no.
Wait. Lion King. No.
No.
Lilo and Stitch.
Mulan. A dream is a wish your heart makes.
A dream is a wish.
A dream is... God, you really don't know these.
I don't know them
Is
at all.
a
No.
wish. Cinderella. Someday My Prince Will Come. The OG.
It could be anything. What's one day? Cinderella.
Snow White. A Spoonful of Sugar.
Mary Poppins.
Yes. The Bare Necessities.
A Jungle Book.
Yes. Okay, that was round 1.
I
love
haven't
it,
seen
like
these
pulling
films.
teeth. Yeah, it's quite revealing.
I genuinely haven't.
Quite revealing.
I didn't
It's
see-
okay.
That's hard, okay, because I haven't seen a lot of them. And look, I only saw Mulan for the first time in 2019.
God, that is late to Mulan.
And the best song in that is not Reflections, whatever you said it was. It's
Someday
I'll
make a man. I like it when she's like, who is that girl? Brilliant. Right, George, round 2.
Am I allowed a little bit more time to
I'll give
maybe
you a bit
try and
more
get
time.
the answer? Can I at least try and put it together? Because I'm not going to know it
Yeah.
instinctively.
Some of them you can figure out. There's some harder ones in here, but I think none of it's beyond you. As always with the games. George, you have to guess the Disney movie from the song. Ready? You can fly, you can fly, you can fly.
You can fly. Dumbo.
No.
Why?
Another one where they learn to fly.
They learn to fly.
Second star to the right and straight on till morning. I don't know. Peter Pan. You've got a friend in me.
Toy Story.
Yes. You'll be in my heart.
You'll be in Dumbo.
No.
I
Phil
haven't
Collins.
seen the
Phil
Tarzan.
Collins, yes.
I haven't seen these films.
God help the outcasts.
God help the outcasts. The outcasts.
Paris.
Ratatouille.
No. Hunchback of Notre Dame. Why should I worry?
I don't know
Oliver
these,
and
James.
Company, that's
I
hard.
don't know these.
Best of Friends.
I don't know.
Tragic, sad. One of the saddest
Bambi.
films. No, or similar. Cinema caliber of sad. The Fox and the Hound. Breaking Free.
Dumbo.
No! From our teen years.
Our teen years.
We're breaking free.
High School Musical.
Yeah. Cruella de Vil.
101 Dalmatians.
Yes. Baby Mine. You've said it 4 times.
Dumbo.
Yes.
Yes!
Everybody wants to be a cat.
The Aristocats.
Yes. Mother Knows Best.
Dumbo. I don't know.
Tangled. It's over. It's done. The Phil Collins Tarzan soundtrack
Terrible
is
or good?
incredible.
Oh, is it?
Have you've seen Tarzan?
At the cinema once when I was a kid.
That soundtrack, I mean, this is old news. This is not an original thought. Is phenomenal.
It goes in hard.
Phil Collins did not phone it in.
No.
He there's like multiple amazing songs. You can flick on the Tarzan soundtrack on a low day, sort you right out.
Do you know what
It's
film
Depression Solver.
no one ever talks about anymore? And is forgotten off the face of the earth. Not that Tarzan. Do you remember The Legend of Tarzan from 2015
With Alexander
Skarsgård
Skarsgård.
and Margot Robbie?
Gosh, Margot Robbie in that.
And he goes back to the jungle. He's a gentleman. He goes back to the jungle. That zilch.
Because Tarzan's had
Zip.
many. It's got a deep history in film, doesn't it? Tarzan.
Yes,
I can't say I know
but
many.
in the past 25 years, only those two films.
I've seen one, which is the Phil Collins edition.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
That is hard, but I feel no
Yeah.
guilt about that because I haven't seen it. If I'd seen those films and I couldn't get it, I'd feel stupid. But
Yeah.
I haven't seen them. And you know what, guys? It's not because I'm a snob. I just didn't see them at home.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Is
Okay?
your older brother not into Disney? So I think there's a responsibility of older siblings to introduce you.
no, I think
parents
it's-
anti-Disney.
Not anti at all. I think that I just don't think we were that interested.
Yeah. Oh,
I just don't remember ever. The only time I ever saw those films was at school.
What?
I saw
So I used to
snippets.
watch all of them on VHS.
I don't think I've ever seen Aladdin all the way through. I don't think
I went through a
Hercules-
phase where I came home and I'd put Aladdin on every single
I would
day
never.
after
I
school.
would never watch. I would never watch a Disney film at home like that. Pixar, yes. Star Wars, yes.
I have a really vivid memory of discovering Robin Williams as not the genie in my life. Like, I remember like really knowing the genie from Aladdin,
Yes.
and then seeing Robin Williams, and obviously his comedic style is so distinct. I was like, oh my god, that's the genie.
Yeah.
And then realizing Robin Williams is like a whole thing. Unto
You had
itself.
sisters.
Two
You
older
had two older
sisters
They
who watch lots
kind
of
of
Disney.
trickle down. but-
Yeah, lots of like less sort of typically masculine Disney films, which I watch loads of, but I always loved them.
Well, thank you.
Because I have some guy friends with only brothers that didn't watch like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty or even Mulan because it had a woman on the cover.
Do you have any more games for me?
Yeah, I've got more.
Oh, great,
yeah,
bring
yeah.
it.
We've got a name 7 in 30.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
George, I'm going to give you a task and you have to name 7 of the films in 30 seconds. I'm stalling for time while I get my clock. George, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ready? In 30 seconds, name 7 films with the word day in the title. Your time starts now.
One Day,
Yep.
The Day After Tomorrow,
Yeah.
Dog Day Afternoon, Independence Day,
Yeah.
Patriots Day,
Yeah.
Night and Day,
Yeah.
and Day for Night, Day Daniel Day-Lewis, Day. Die Another Day.
Yes. 23 seconds. Very good. Very good. You enjoyed that?
Yeah, that was fun.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, I thought you'd get.
Oh, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that. Are you going to give me name 7 movies with night in the title now?
No. That would be a good one. I'll hold that. T2 Judgment Day
Oh, of course.
would work.
Yes.
Snow Day.
No, I don't know it.
One Fine Day. The Remains of the Day. I've put Night and Day as well because that one was fun. Right, George. Lastly, we've got This or That.
Okay.
Now, last week,
Well,
you took too much time.
No.
You took too much time
No,
on a couple of them. On a couple of them. The rest, the Disney stuff I'll give you.
I can't give you a gut answer when I
George.
haven't seen the films.
Let go of your ego, and I just need you to respect the game. And when I ask you this or that, just turn up. Okay?
Okay.
George, guys, if you don't know this game.
This is the most stressful game.
This is the most stressful game. I'm going to give George 2 films, directors, actors, entities, styles, and he has to just very quickly tell me in quickfire what he thinks. Think deep psychological experiment of a character who needs analysis before he can be let back out into the field.
I'm going to try and concentrate.
George, which one of these do you prefer? Get Out or Barbarian?
Barbarian, actually.
Aquaman or The Flash?
I'm not
Quick.
seeing. I'm not concentrating. I'm not seeing. Start again. I'm not. Stop.
Quick.
Stop. I'm not seeing.
Unbelievable.
I'm not.
Just say
seeing,
The Flash.
Yeah, The Flash. Because I'm not seeing
Jesus
Aquaman.
Christ. David Fincher or Christopher Nolan?
Um,
Quick.
Nolan.
Denzel
maybe?
Washington or Marlon Brando?
Sorry, but every time I
Just
give an answer,
say.
I regret it immediately.
This is a null round. I have to start. We have to start again now. But this is exactly what I said you couldn't do. You're getting worse. You're getting worse.
Every time I give an answer, I regret it
But
immediately.
George, you have to. People will understand that you're just giving a pure gut.
Okay.
I don't need a review. You know, frankly, we've heard enough of your long takes. The rest of the show is you giving a very calculated response. It's great. I love it. This is not that time.
It's stressful, James.
I know it is.
Okay, go.
I'm trying to help you too.
Okay, let's go.
I have to pick up from the middle of this round.
Yeah, let's go. That's fine.
3, 2, 1. Denzel Washington or Marlon Brando?
Marlon Brando.
Wonder Woman or the Green Lantern?
Wonder Woman.
Saving Private Ryan or The Lord of the Rings?
I've not seen the latter really that much, so Saving Private Ryan.
Pirates of the Caribbean or Fast and Furious?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Scream or Halloween?
Scream.
Lost in Translation or Apocalypse Now?
Random. Apocalypse Now.
Bread or pasta?
Pasta.
Batman Begins or Pan's Labyrinth?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Captain America the Winter Soldier or Captain America Civil War?
Winter Soldier.
The Incredibles or Monsters, Inc.?
The Incredibles.
Paul Mescal or Saoirse Ronan?
Saoirse Ronan.
Darren Aronofsky or Alejandro Iñárritu?
Aronofsky.
Ant-Man or Jumanji?
Jumanji, I guess.
Pearl Harbor or Hacksaw Ridge?
Pearl Harbor, I guess.
E.T. or Jaws?
Jaws.
Last one, Toy Story or Shrek?
Toy Story.
You got into it.
I did. But you know what? The thing is, I stopped the blood flowing to any
Yes.
other part of my body than my brain.
I should hope so.
So I don't know what that's going to look like
Good.
as a social, because I am basically a statue.
Yes. It's pure subconscious. You put your world of the dream and then you build the dream.
You give me another one.
Yeah, it's one
Oh,
more.
God.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I'm serious. I want you to just...
I'm not going to look at you. That's why I have to look at
Yeah,
blank
don't
space.
look at me. Don't feel the judgment. It's just...
No, I know, but
people at home.
I genuinely find it hard. I'm not in the practice
I don't want
of giving...
everyone to know that there is no... that you can't... It's impossible to just say this person's better, but it's just on a gut feeling. If I was just to offer them on under two cloches of the plate, which one would you fancy right now? That's what the game's all about.
Okay.
No one's going to be like, oh, you like Saving Private Ryan more than Lord of the Rings.
Some people will.
It's just a sense of a feeling. That's why I like this game. There's no prep. Right, George, are you ready? Last round, then you're off the hook. You have to tell me which one of these you prefer. Ready? The Dark Knight or Guardians of the Galaxy?
Dark Knight.
Mean Girls or Legally Blonde?
Mean Girls.
The Babadook or Platoon?
Platoon.
Tilda Swinton or Nicole Kidman?
Tilda Swinton.
The Shining or The Exorcist?
The Exorcist.
Exorcist.
I would say Shining.
Clueless or 10 Things I Hate About You?
10 Things I Hate About You.
Demi Moore or Kate Blanchett?
Kate Blanchett.
Inglourious Bastards or Goodfellas?
Goodfellas.
Home Alone or Elf?
Home Alone.
Ratatouille or Finding Nemo?
Finding Nemo.
Ice Cream or Cake?
Cake.
Scream or I've already got that in there. The Sixth Sense or Donnie Darko?
Donnie Darko.
Inception or The Matrix?
The Matrix.
Lars von Trier or Terrence Malick?
Terrence Malick.
Matilda or The Parent Trap?
Not seen Parent Trap, has to be Matilda.
Last one, Jesse Eisenberg or Andrew Garfield?
Garfield.
You really withdrew
I
there.
did. But I gave you answers.
You did. You were delivering.
Here's me all being like, showmanship, and I'm terrible at it. If you want me, I'm a different person.
Jesus Christ. That will be more tiring for you than the entire episode.
Yeah.
Trying to be smart for 40 minutes was equally as tiring as like the 6 minutes of those games for you.
What do you mean trying to be smart?
Being very smart. Trying and being.
Yeah, thank you. I'm exhausted now.
You exhaust me. Guys, sorry about George. Thank you so much for listening
come on,
to this.
Give me a break.
No, they were good fun. Very revealing, very enjoyable. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of PULP Kitchen. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget we post new episodes of this show every single Wednesday.
Stay out. Sorry, stay tuned for our bonus. My brain's fried. Stay tuned for our bonus this week, which is about The Crown, Season 6, Part 1. James has also seen Bottoms, and he's also seen Bad Taste, the Peter Jackson movie. You didn't even say that looking at the camera because I'm so used to looking into space now to concentrate. Again, guys, thank you for your emails, and please like, subscribe, follow, share, shout from the rooftops. We really appreciate it. We love your support. Keep listening, keep subscribing. It's great.
Follow us Follow us on Instagram because we're going to be going to the Crown premiere next
Yeah.
week, which should be really good fun. You can see all the shenanigans from that.
Yeah, the finale celebration
Part 2,
for
yeah.
part 2.
That should be good.
And lots of other fun stuff as well.
Yeah.
So keep up with us there. Bye-bye. Have a good
Thank
week.
you.